Okay, welcome everybody. Take two for our weekly consciousness. This is like most of the portions. It is a powerful connection. It relates a lot to relationships that we have with people. So, I mean, in one of the interpretation, we can say that the portion of Truma, the same as Lech Lecha, is about soulmates. And we learned that the idea of soulmate is not, just a romantic relationship. You can have a soulmate relationship with your neighbor without going into the romance part. It can be like what's the expression? You hit it, or like, what's the expression in English? I don't know if the expression is hit it on. I don't know if it's appropriate. I don't know. Like, you do you know what I'm saying? What's the expression in English? Help me.
You hit it off. You hit it off well, like that.
Oh, hit it off is the positive?
Is positive, right?
Oh, even if we say off, yeah?
I'm quoting my 21-year-old son now.
Okay, maybe actually it tricked you. Maybe hit it off is actually, I'm just kidding. So anyway, my wife, we just had this conversation just a few minutes ago about this woman that has 3 kids, 2 of which are going into in the same class as my son, and she said, although they have like 10, 12 years difference, they hit it off. Like from the first time that they met, like there was just like synchronicity. Oh, here is Michael.
Yes.
Oh, this is a celebration.
Yes, it is.
Welcome back, my friend.
Hopefully stay there.
Well, let's take it one day at a time. It's good to have you. I'm just going to mute you because otherwise we have an echo, okay?
That's fine.
And if you want to say anything, you can just unmute. All right. So yes, so they hit it off, and today they went for a coffee, and they lost sight of time. It was like 2 hours, and this is basically like when you have like an amazing connection with somebody. You spend an hour, you spend 2 hours, and it feels like 5 minutes. And sometimes at work or family gatherings or whatever, you're dreading to see certain people, and like these 5 minutes can feel actually like an hour. So we're here to hopefully take something out of what this portion has to teach us. And again, it's one of the biggest portion in the Zohar, the portion of Truma. So there is like so much that there is to be discussed, and we're just going to discuss 1 or 2 verses. So whatever we're going to take home with us, I hope that it's going to be fruitful and it's going to be practical, and at least that's the goal. So we're going to start with the synopsis and the relevance of the text. Go ahead.
We read how the soul flies from the life of the worlds, the Yesod of Zerampin, and is blessed by him as it emerges and flies downward. And the soul has permission to bless Malchut. The souls fly downward and bless Malchut at the commencement of Shabbat. We learn that Malchut receives blessings during the weekdays from the other souls that bless her from below. During the Shabbat day, she receives blessings from the upper worlds that bless her with 45 words. All this praise and all these words are known limbs that add up to the proper completion of the Shabbat. Should I keep going?
Mm-hmm.
All the blessings, spiritual energy of the weekday and the Sabbath fill our souls, completing our connection to the light of the Creator. In turn, we ignite the merciful arrival of the cosmic Sabbath, the age of Messiah, and a unified humanity embraces the world of immortality and boundless delight.
I'll read from the Aramaic for the connection. Nishmat kol chai, ha-chavraya it'aru be-milin dikshot, aval itlan le'adkera, ha'i nishmeta defarcha me'ahu chai olamim, ubegin de'ihi דילה דמיני, נפקן כל ברכן ושריין, בבהו אשכה ומברך לטאטא. ההיא נשמתה דנפקה מיני, אית לה רשו לברכה. להיא אתה. ועל דה פרחי נשמתין מאוחי, במעלה שבתה, אינון נשמתין דאינון, פרחן ממש מברכין להיא, אתר דיקרא שם מיתתה, והוא אתר דנפקה מיני, מברך ללעילה, והיא שם מקבלה, ברכן מיתתה, ומעילה, והיא כלילת מכל סתרים. All right, here we go.
The soul of every living being. The friends have said true words about it. We must remember that the soul flies from the life of the worlds, which is Yesod of Zerampin. Because it is his, all the blessings emanate from him and dwell in him, and he waters and blesses downward Malchut, the soul that emerges from him and has permission to bless this place, Malchut.
Please continue.
Therefore, the souls fly from that living, which is Yesod of Zerampin. At the commencement of Shabbat, these souls that fly actually bless that place that is called name below, namely Malchut, for which reason it is said, the soul of every living being will bless your name, namely Malchut, that is called name, the place from which the souls emerge, which is Yesod, blesses Malchut from above, so we that see this name receives blessings from below and from above and is included from all sides.
Okay, let's continue. One more. ביומי דחול יהי מקבלה ברכן משאר נשמתין דקה, מברכין לה מיתתה ביומה דשבת, יהי מקבלה ברכן מעינון נשמתין, אילאין דקה, מברכן לה ב45 תבין, כחושבן מה, כמה דאוקימנה ברזה מ"ה, וברזה מ"י, דא עלמא אילאה ודא עלמא תתא, נשמת כל חי, עד האחרונים, מ"ה ומין ואילו פינו מלא שירה. עד ומלפנים סלקה תושבחתה אחרה 50 תבין, ואף עלגה דלה קיימה תמן מילה, בחושבנה סלקה חושבנה רמה מ"י, ומתמן ולהלאה סלקה תושבחתה אחרה לחשבון, 100 תבין תשלומין דחולה וחד רתיחה על כל מה דשריה ההוא שלמה אילאה. All right. Go ahead.
During the weekdays, Malchut receives blessings from the other souls that bless her from below. During the Shabbat day, she receives blessings from the upper worlds of Atzilut that bless her with 45 words, like the numerical value of the name of 45. As we have established in the secret of Ma, 45, and Mi, 50. For this Mi is the upper world, Binah, and Ma is the lower world, Malchut, the soul of every living being, until the word that contains 45 words, and from were our mouths as full of song, until the word before us is a different praise, which is composed of 50 words. This is not a word that indicates calculating, meaning that there is no end of subject to the point to point out a specific sum, because the word before us is in the middle of subject. With all this, the sum adds up to the secret of me, namely 50 words. A different praise starts from that point onward that amounts to the sum of 100 words, until by the mouth of the upright you shall be exalted, which is the completion of all, namely the greatness of Malchut that contains 10 sfirot with each one, containing 10, equaling 100. This is the chariot upon which dwells the supernal wholeness, which is Zerampin.
Thank you. So I think what I'd like to focus on is this idea that there are a few words that keep on repeating themselves. There is the Shabbat, there is the Malchut, there is the souls, and then there is the nurturing, that there is, in conjunction with all those that interact during the Shabbat and the weekdays, and one fulfills the other. So the Shabbat is where we go to the gas station, to the spiritual gas station, and we fill up the tank. And the days of the week are the days where we don't only spend that gas that has been filling up in our tank, but also we are the ones that are nurturing Malchut. And so imagine if everybody in the realm of Malchut is drained and is draining, Malchut would basically die off. It wouldn't be able to survive, and it doesn't matter how much you could give it water, it's not going to work. It's like, imagine that you're trying to water the desert, and however much you're going to put in water, it's not going to work. There are some exceptions and some miracles, but in general, if you are pouring water in a desertic ground, I've been in Arizona for 10 days when it was really hot. It was 110, 112. It doesn't matter if you're going to pour like a 50 gallon of water, it's just going to evaporate after 3 minutes. So that's basically the idea. Imagine that you going to nurture people around that, quote, where or are your friends, but it doesn't matter like what comes out of you, they're just draining that energy. Not only they're draining that energy, they are bitter, they're not happy, they are miserable, and they make the lives of people around them also miserable. And so at some point, we needed to decide, because I get to moments where I'm seeking, each one of us is a seeker to replenish our soul. So there is this natural cosmic spiritual gas station that we call Shabbat. We just needed to learn how to connect to it and where to connect to it and the tools that are available to us to connect to it. Each person, I'm not saying now everybody needs to become Jewish and go to a synagogue or to the temple. Every single person needs to have his own connection to the light force of the Creator and find his own spiritual gas station. And it is true that, some people find it in meditation, some people find it in volunteering, some people find it in participating in all sorts of projects, some people find it in, giving their time and energy and soul for their children or for their grandchildren, or for something that actually, once they are done with the journey, or they're done with the 15 minutes or with the 8 hours or whatnot, they come out of it and they're feeling fulfilled and they're feeling replenished. And when you are replenished and you're full of gas, not like physical, like you're full of like energy, the words, you just want to go out and you want to share it. If you're lacking, then you're going out and you're going to try to take energy from other people, either from other people or from different projects or opportunities. And if an opportunity is going to be given to you, you'll ruin it after a minute because you're in the wrong headspace. You're in the wrong consciousness. And the consciousness that I want, because it's very subjective, to say that somebody has the right or the wrong consciousness. The right consciousness is that you don't want to be stagnant where you are. You want to evolve. You want to grow. You want to be more fulfilled, even if you're happy and everything is great. Oftentimes when we meet people that are saying, oh, everything is cool, everything is good, everything is great, I don't need anything, I don't need spirituality, I don't need God, it's just a matter of time. It is very possible that they have accumulated all the spiritual wealth that they needed this far, and right now it's harvest time. And in this harvest time, it's like a honeymoon period where they just feel the blast of wisdom and kindness from the universe and luck and mazala and all those things that are good, and blessed when they're happening. But everything comes to an end if we are not replenishing, if we're not keeping on nurturing. And that is the same with everything in life. It's not just, with the spiritual concepts that I'm talking about right now, because it is very practical. Imagine if you're married and you nurtured the relationship prior to the marriage. Now that you're married, who needs to nurture it? Because, it's done, right? Like you have the ring and you have the mortgage, you have the house, you have the car, you have the 3 kids. Now you don't need to nurture anymore, right? Because it has been accomplished. For a lot of people, the goal was to get married. And this is why very often it ends in divorce. Why does it end in divorce? Because the goal was just to get married. And the goal was not to be married. The goal was not to be on a journey in a relationship with somebody. And so oftentimes, if the goal is just to have to get married, then this is where it's going to end. If the goal is just to have children, you might have kids, but you might just be estranged from them, and that is terrible. It's terrible. Like I hear and I see it all the time, where parents don't talk to their children, because of A, B, or C, and it's always justifiable for whatever reason. And when they tell you the story, you can understand, and you're like, well, I get it. And you can't force it, right? But at the end of the day, what is the cause? What is the effect? What is the egg and what is the chicken, right? Like, what came first? And we need to know that whatever is manifested in your life, if it's to be estranged, to not to be connected, to how to experience separation or a gap, or to feel miserable or lonely, that is not the cause. Sure, right now in this moment, it makes you feel A, B, and C. So you're lonely. So great. How does it make you feel? Terrible. But the real question is, what led you there? What led you to get to that conclusion, to get to that turn? Because you can have taken a turn, and if you're in the GPS and you lost yourself, then, the GPS is just going to, turn around at the first opportunity. The thing is that we're not very good with following directions. Like very often, if we're lost and the universe is sending us signals, do a U-turn, and you're like, no, I prefer to stay in my misery. No, I prefer to stay in this toxic relationship. No, I prefer to be depressed. No, I prefer to be angry and bitter. Even though all the signs are telling me, do a U-turn, it's not successful, do a U-turn, you're not happy, do a U-turn, it's not good for you. So going back to this idea that first, all souls come to this place, and first they get nurtured. They're nurtured. So the way that we begin is that we have a stomach that is full of energy, full of blessings, full of everything that we can ever desire. And then the weekday represents our day-to-day life. So the Shabbat represents our spiritual connection, whatever that means to you. And the days of the week represent how we're spending that energy. So if on a day-to-day, I am just following a certain routine, and that routine doesn't have a purpose, it's just a matter of time, counted time within days, within hours, that my energy is going to feel depleted. And it doesn't matter if you've been productive and you've been doing the same kind of thing for the last 10, 15 years. You could have had a great day at work, but still you go home and you feel empty, or you feel like something is missing, or you feel like, what am I doing? And then you start dreaming, and then you start projecting, and you start to what if I've done this, and you start traveling like almost like in the past, what if like 5 years ago, and what if with this guy, and what if with this woman, and what if this missed opportunity, and this is basically the things that are going on in our lives if we're not tapping into the opportunities that are given to us as a result of our spiritual connections. But if we don't have spiritual connections, imagine where we are right now. So it's like we are surviving on a thread because there is no real spiritual connection that are truly fulfilling me to the core. They're not fulfilling me to the core. I'm not happy. Are you okay? Sure, I'm okay. I mean, look at my life. It's great. And this is happening and this is happening. Like if we do the bills and balances of my life, everything is great. Like see what's happening in Ukraine. There is about to be a war. Look what's happening in Russia or in North, not, I was going to say North Dakota. I know nothing about North Dakota, but North Korea. And look at the chaos that's happening around the world with COVID and like the chaos that is happening with countless of people that don't have work, and forget about that they don't have work, they don't want to work. I mean, there's so many things that are going on, but at the same time, if we do the bills and balance, like we do, like let's take 5 minutes and look at my life. My life is not so bad after all. So we could, if we are to talk and open up to our confidant and to tell him everything that's not going well, or you go to your therapist. Usually we don't go to the therapist to tell what's going well. We're going to the therapist to say what's wrong and what's bothering us and whatnot. And this is why I don't think that going to the therapist is the best thing to do only as the only thing. Why? Because it's like you're watching, like for 5 hours in a row, you're watching CNN. And I can guarantee that after 5 hours, you're going to come out and you'll be depressed, because they're not in the business of telling good news. And so when you are, your mind and your brain is like, like rotating, gravitating and like going into the tradition of the bad, of the bitter, of the bad news, this is what we are creating. So going back again, like I'm like all over the place today, but the idea in my head at least is very clear. First, find or restore the connection to your source. What is your source? How can you tap into your source? Honestly, I can give you tools and I can share with you all sorts of different tools. It's like, yes, that's one thing, but at the end of the day, it needs to resonate with you. What is your connection that makes you feel restored, that makes you feel fulfilled? Some people, it's going for a hike. If I go with you on a hike, I'll come back angry because I don't like to go on a hike. But if I listen to music, I like it. If I watch some funny videos on YouTube, like it disconnects. So sometimes I'm like work, meeting. I just need like to switch off. And I just go like for 10, 15 minutes watching like funny stuff. And I feel replenished and I'm good to go for another 3 or 4 hours. Like, what is your replenishment? What is your spiritual connection? Is it like to stop everything and call somebody that is dear to you and you know that this person is not doing well, but it would be okay to call and to say, hey, how you doing? And to share some energy and to know that this person is not going to drain you. Yeah, their lifestyle is not naturally coming as positive and uplifting, etc. But as you are going to use the energy that you received through your connection, going to share it with somebody else somehow, because this is the job. The job is for us not to go on the playing field empty. If we go on the playing field, which represented the weekdays, and we're empty, we have nothing to give. You have nothing to give to your children, you have nothing to give to your partners, and you have nothing to give to anybody. And so this is why, it sounds maybe a little bit selfish, but it's true. It has to start with you finding your spiritual gas station. And even if it's like not like the epiphany and the revelation and the Mount Sinai, like splitting of the Red Sea or whatnot, it doesn't matter. It's not necessarily that. It doesn't have to be such a huge explosion. Sometimes we think, oh, I did A, B, and C, but I didn't feel anything. You're not supposed to necessarily feel anything. If it just feels right that this is the right thing to do, don't be so much with calculation. The Zohar explicitly says no calculation whatsoever here. We're not to calculate when it comes to us passing on, paying forward what I just received. So if you find and if you know, and again, it doesn't have to be an explosion of energy, what makes you feel good? If it's to cook and eat a good meal, if it is to go for a run, if it's to just sit and relax on a hammock, if it's to jump on with a how do you call it, like the thing, like a jumper, whatever it is that makes your day. I see it like, it's so easy or easier to see with kids, because with kids, it's simpler to see what makes them happy. You just ask them, what do you want to do? And when you ask them what do you want to do, right away, they tell you, I want to do this. Or you ask them a similar question, what do you want to eat? I mean, depending the kids, it can be complicated. But in general, if you ask them what you want to eat, they tell you right away. The more we grow, the more we become adult and we become grown-ups and we mature, etc., the answer is not coming instinctively as when we were a child, because children, because they're more naive, they're more innocent, so they're closer to the light. And because they're closer to the light, it's simpler. And the more we grow and the more we mature, and the farther we are to simplicity. I'm not necessarily saying farther from the light. Each one of you needs to make your own assessment of how close or how far you are from the light. But the idea is that you can get like sort of like a measurement, which is, if your nature is to make things complicated, you got your answer. If your nature is to keep things simple, then you got your answer too. So even if you're like 50 or 60 and people would say that you're immature, it's not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing, because to be immature is to be close to the light. I'm not saying stupid and making, silly decisions and putting people's lives at risk. That's not what I'm talking about. But I had the privilege to meet like so many people in my life, and it's not necessarily the ones that you would expect that are the most wise and mature. And you can find people that are like 65, like I said, and they are very immature and very naive and very silly or whatever. And I always embrace that and I always admire that, because the more we take ourselves seriously and the more we close doors, because when things are becoming less and less simple, that's when we are drifting away from the light, because the light is simple. And so again, for me, the takeaway of that section today is to either enhance your connection to your spiritual gas station. If it's not to enhance, it's to discover what uplifts you, what makes you feel good, what makes you feel connected and empowered and more positive and more inspired and more inspiring. Because when you do that daily, weekly connection, then you can go on afterwards with the people that are around you, and you can share. And as opposed to become this how to explain, like the only image that I have is like this very big SUV that is pumping so much gas after like you would make like 300, or I would make 300 or 400 miles with my van, minivan, but then I know that there's some cars you drive like 100 miles and you need to put a full tank of $80 again. So basically that's it. And we can literally compare our life, spiritual life, physical life, to filling up that spiritual tank, but also the engine that is running things. So you can run on electrical and just be fed with the solar energy, and your consciousness is uplifted, and you're an inspiration, and wherever you go, you don't need that many stops. And the more we go, this is why it's not a coincidence that we grow towards this energy-free system where we go from the dependence of gas to towards like greener systems. And there are discoveries as we speak. There are discoveries of a battery that can like have a car that drives from the East Coast to the West Coast or vice versa with just one charge of a battery. It's incredible. Why it's not out yet, I really don't know. But the fact of the matter is that there are systems that are in place right now where we are evolving so quickly. We're evolving so quickly where we have right now at the tip of our fingers available to us everything that is needed to find that click, to find that thing that makes you feel connected, that replenishes your being and your soul and makes you feel fulfilled. It makes you feel fulfilled, so that afterwards you can go to your kids and you can go to your neighbors or the people that you work with on different projects, and you are an inspiration. You don't need to convince anybody. You don't need to struggle in any conversation. Sometimes you don't need to even speak. You just be, and people are inspired. And that's when you know that you're not just doing the right thing, but you're on the right path. And so the big takeaway is that there is a light that is available to all of us, to each one of us. We just need to connect to it. And as a pay forward, the pay forward is what created that circuitry. So if you have done good use of the energy that you received on that moment, that is representative by the word Shabbat, then that circuitry becomes bigger. So imagine as if the universe is an investor and is investing on each and every single soul. There is not a soul that exists that is breathing, that is not sustained by the light force of the Creator. Every single soul that is alive is sustained by the Creator. And so sustained doesn't mean that we are alive. There are people that just survive, and there are people that are just miserable and they just wait for the day that it's going to be over. But hopefully it's not us. But the idea is that we don't just sustain what we receive as a minimal flow of energy. I want to be the invested. I want to be that option for the universe to bet on me, to see me as a good manager of the light, as a good beacon of light. And the more I'm going to be able not only to receive, but through my receiving, I'm going to be able to have more capacity to share with people. And the more I receive and the more I increase that capacity to receive. And there is no end to that. And so this is why you see today, it's so quick. It's so quick. Like there is like the bridge between a nothing to everything is so rapid. And so this is why today it's like by the thousands of examples, you see like kids that are still in high school that become millionaire because they created an NFT or because they had a great idea and they can retire at the age of 15. I'm like, what? There's still people that are like 60, 65 and they're still paying their school loans. And there are people that are still like paying their mortgage and they're still afraid of what's going to happen tomorrow. But this is like, if you will, it's like the stagnation that somebody, like without judging anybody, but the idea is that you can see it's not a coincidence that there are so many that are, I don't want to say the word luck because it's not about luck. It's about a time shrinking potential that is between the actual and the potential that is reducing in time and space. And that is also true for us. But in order to accelerate this process, we need to be in that place where I'm receiving, I acknowledge that I'm receiving, I want to receive more. I don't want to now to be spiritual. No, I don't want to receive, I just want to give. That's not the right recipe. the right recipe is that if you want to share a lot, you need to receive a lot, because you cannot share anything if you do not receive. We just needed to figure out what is doing it for me so that I can increase that lot. And if I didn't, then this is the workshop, this is the homework for us for this coming week, to figure out what it is that does it for me, to figure out what replenishes me, what makes me happy, what brings me a smile to my face, what gives me the goosebumps, or what gives me the butterflies, and just keep repeating that. Because the more there is going to be of that, and the more you can share tenderness, kindness, happiness, compassion, forgiveness. If you're bitter and you're empty, you have nothing to give. Okay. Any question? Comments? We're good? Okay. So good luck to all of us this coming week, grasping and grabbing every opportunity that there is to become a bigger, better channel and beacon, and not to be afraid that it's happening. If it's happening to so many people, why not us? You just have to take things with more simplicity. Thank you, and see you next week.
Thank you, Yehuda.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Yehuda.
Thank you.
Welcome.